edition to be available to English-speaking scholars and the audience. And I think I now understand why. And it actually brings me a lot of joy to and confidence in really being able to work harder to complete the rest of the English editions. And in the past few days, I would like you to know that the members of the IHB have actually been staying with us online. They've listened to the presentations, and I think they're also very joyfully touched, especially the writers of the Chinese edition. What you have said really means a lot to them. That's the first thing. And secondly, I believe the discussions we had today, in terms of your ideas, the challenges and the questions to be solved regarding this set of books are also very meaningful. And so once again, thank you so much. It's a fantastic start to the future, and I look forward to your future wisdom and sharings about this light transmission record. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the English editing team, I would also like to thank everyone, especially the invited delegates who were given very little time, but yet have given their best. Their expertise from different perspectives were very helpful. And I think the different perspectives helped us to feel this land transmission record of humanistic Buddhism by the Venerable Master Xing Yun coming alive. All of us during all these discussions. And it's not just an academic discussion. I think it's a life. It's a very life form. So to begin this closing conversation, it is a conversation, but I know that in this hyper-vigilant world, we tend to be very forgetful. So I've invited our poor facilitators of every panel.
Yes, poor facilitators.
To do the memory recollection for us.
I said, why do we have to repeat ourselves anyway?
To help recall on our behalf what were the main points of our discussion. And then after that, we'll open up for more interesting conversations to come.
So you mean our presentation is not going to be interesting?
So sorry, I'm really very bad with words.
If he walks out, you're going to sit here.
Over to panel 1, Associate Professor Guang Chen.
So exactly, I was like, why am I doing a summary? Like, did they not pay attention yesterday? But I think, hey, Wong, shut up. You've got 8 minutes to say something, so take your time. Okay, so you were talking about AI earlier. I wasn't in the room. I was sitting outside because I didn't want to interrupt the thing. And you were laughing a lot. And then people coming out and said, if AI can do all this, we're doomed. So I actually scanned my notes and put it into ChatGPT and say, can you summarize a closing statement for me? So this is my technique. And then I did look through it, and I'm going to add things to it. So as I listened to the presentation and contemplated on it overnight, that's what ChatGPT said. I was reminded once again, Venerable Master Xing Yun, concise yet profound description of humanistic Buddhism, that is what is taught by Buddha, what is needed by human beings, and all that is pure, virtuous, and beautiful. So I want to commend the organizer. Yeah, you did it so well that you lined the 3 presentation together, and you did it so well that you gave it to me because I'm a contemplative pedagogy educator. I do not know anything about Buddhist history or scholastic, yes, but these 3 I can comment on because I am actually really moved by the flow of that, because Professor Perinault helped us revisit what is taught by the Buddha through her explanation of Buddhist wisdom. Skillful means perfect harmony and the establishment of pure land on earth. She reminded us that the Dharma is not merely a philosophy to be studied, but a living wisdom that responds to human suffering and guides personal transformation. So human suffering, personal transformation. Then Mr. Frawley explored what is needed by the human being through his reflection as an editor of the Lamb transmission record. He highlighted the challenges and responsibility of transmitting wisdom across language, culture, and generations. And translation is not simply about words. It's about making timeless wisdom accessible and meaningful to contemporary lives. And the thing that really amazed me, and it is such a rich presentation because of where you came from, and especially when the Q&A, when you're able to so precisely capture the leaning back and leaning forward. And I'll talk to you in person, like what are the other Buddhist sector that you have engaged. But it is so true. The majority of the traditional Buddhists is still leaning inwards. And even with our conversation with Professor Cheng, that's not in this room, he still said today at lunch that a lot of traditional Buddhists still criticize humanistic Buddhism, thinking that the humanistic Buddhism practitioners are not real practitioners. They're just focusing on being visible or being out there, and they do not focus enough in their internal contemplation. So it's so important for you as a person that went through the text to be able to do that. So Cecilia, is Cecilia in this room?
It's online.
Cecilia online? Yes. So Cecilia, like you spoke my dream. I don't need to look at my ChatGPT note talking about your part. Because as a contemplative pedagogy educator, we emphasize so much on inviting the student to open their minds so that they can have access to their beyond their cognitive, have access to their affective means. And art is the key to the affective side of the world. That's why the Venerable Master have a phrase called 感动的世界最美丽. The world that can touch you is the world that is the most beautiful. And that is what I think we need to do, folk scholar that is on the same path as me. What we need to do is we need to work on how do we capture the Master's teaching and then explain the mechanism of it, which is what Cecilia did. So the Master wanted an art gallery. I was there 20 over years ago, and I was thinking, what the heck? Why are you doing that? But I was too tiny. No point for me to ask any question like, why is he doing that? Why do we need to have art gallery? What is the purpose of that? I was nearly 30 then. It was not until I think I was 43 years old when I was in Paris and I saw the Monet art exhibition. I cried in front of the painting. I did not know what happened. I just burst into tears. And then when someone asked me, why are you crying? I said, I saw the struggle of the artist and his effort in wanting to capture whatever light that he can see because of his cataract. I saw that. But from 30 to 40, how did that happen? How was I suddenly able to see that? This is what we need to unpack. What is the mechanism behind that so that we can continue to do it, but now we know more about why we're doing it. The art gallery is not just art gallery. The performance is not just performance. All of this has meanings and science and mechanism behind, so we can actually intentionally allow the experience to happen. As a contemplative pedagogy educator, we also do trauma-informed learning and teaching, which means you need to set up the scene. But if you do not have the understanding of it, if you do not know the in and outs of it, even though you have the content, you won't be able to deliver it to its best possible impact. So that understanding is essential. So our presenters showed us the importance of human experience, the integration of the teaching into creating Pure Land, the journey of an individual, a person who actually went into the text. And I was suggesting to the Abbas, I said, you should be traveling around at least Australia to talk to our English chapter so that they don't feel so lonely. They get someone to show them the key to engage this amazing collection that we've created. And then Cecilia, your continuous work in science and neuroscience and making sense and creating meaning and affective connection and artistic creation. There is so much conversation can be continued to have with the platform that the Venerable Master already started for us. So I think he has been holding the thought of 3 minutes for a while. Is it one more? Is it okay? Well, anyway, I'll return 1 more minute back to the chair, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now over to Professor Ong for panel 2A.
Thank you very much. And again, a very good afternoon to everyone. So in the panel 2A, we are talking about humanistic Buddhism in academic discourse. So I think I began my introduction by introducing what is a academic discourse. I think everyone is aware of that. And we have the first speaker, Stephania, who talked about the Lamb transmission and the new horizons of meaning, the humanistic Buddhism as a paradigm of global humanism. And I think I totally love that idea and the paper and the facts that you have expounded in your presentation, which we are trying to move this humanistic Buddhism forward to see how the tenets of humanistic Buddhism can be a driver for the global humanism, which I think is totally meaningful. And I think we are ready to roll that out already because we have these transmission records of Venerable Master Xing Yin. So the second speaker, Venerable Yu Teng, used another academic approach to look at the doctrinal foundations of humanistic Buddhism. And she did a textual analysis of Buddha, Dharma, and Buddha nature in the thoughts of Venerable Master Xing Yin. And I think we all know Buddhist scholars, we all know that everyone has the Buddha nature. But how do we evoke that Buddha nature? That's a very important question. And we are hoping that the doctrinal foundations of humanistic Buddhism can continue to guide all of us, right? So the third speaker talked about beyond orthodoxy position of the Lamb transmission record of humanistic Buddhism, and that is presented by Professor Zheng Kao. And he gave another view of a bit of a history of the Buddhism and into these humanistic Buddhism. And we have the last speaker from lineage to public knowledge. And again, if the approaches are different, but if we connect it back to what the first speaker is talking about, I would like to imagine that from the lineage, and I think he expounded the various Chan tradition of how this passing of the lamb is traditionally and to the present time. So I think humanistic Buddhism is anchored in the present era of a digital world. We no longer need to go the rope or the pole anymore, but we are using these various approaches. And as enshrined in Buddha's teaching, we have 48,000 法门. That means there are so many doors, there are so many approaches that we can use. And so in Master Xing Yun's, Venerable Master Xing Yun's thought also that we must be relevant in our current environment. And so having said all this, what I have been thinking about is that this is a great piece of work, but during tea time, I've just floated my idea with Miao Guang Fa Shi, and to say that this is voluminous, very difficult to plow through. And I have to in order to understand this and to be able to participate in this. So I spent substantial time. And then because I cannot turn my mind around between the English terminology and the Chinese, I have to go on to Google search all the time. But having said that, and that difficulty actually is dominated the idea of can we have a concise dictionary of the Lamb transmission records. So the purpose is multifold, dual-fold in that sense. Concise version. Yeah, so let's say if I'm a beginner, I have read somewhere, listened somewhere about this Lamb transmission. How do I get to know more? I may begin with looking at the concise version, and if I'm truly interested, inspired by that, I will go deeper into this. For an old person like me, I am forgetful, and so having forgotten what I have read here, I go back to the concise one to know what is happening, right? Okay, then what I observe out of this session is that the research, very good, it's all conceptual and everything. I, as an academic, speaking from my professional background, I would like to see empirical studies. And I intend to bring that to Taiwan, the President's Forum. And so humanistic Buddhism is good. All of us in this network, we all recognize it's good. But how do we tell the other people that it is good, right? So I'm speaking from a marketer's point of view. How do we get to our audience, the larger and broader segment of the society, right? So therefore, I would like to show that humanistic Buddhism is good. And so we have the independent variable, humanistic Buddhism. What is our outcome variable? And I would like to connect it to sustainability issues. I probably would speak about food waste and how food waste with this humanistic, the Sun House, okay, the 3 good deeds and 4 givings contribute to people's change people's attitude towards food waste and actual actions into it, and how that be connected to sustainability. So so we need to see more of this. And it really doesn't matter if a researcher comes from qualitative background or quantitative background, but at the end of it, there must be scientific empirical research that goes into humanistic Buddhism, that gets into the mainstream academia, and then from there you educate the young people. After all, we are not departing from Venerable Master's idea of how, as with education as one of the key driving force towards humanistic Buddhism. With that, I would like to end my presentation and my roundup.
Thank you, Professor Ang, for giving us 2 major projects. I mean, not us.
If I go down, you go down.
But yes, 2 major projects.
We have the dictionary of humanistic.
Dictionary
Assignment was a concise version of the 6-volume collection.
Yes.
Compendium of the compendium.
No.
Just like this is the roadmap into the collected works of the Venerable Master. Another one is the lighthouse.
Yes.
Yeah, the light
into
the light.
the exhibition.
It's up to Fo Guangshan to decide.
And another research project around the impact of humanistic Buddhism in real life.
It's a great idea.
Thank you. You just say it's a great idea. Now to panel 2B, maybe have Dr. Isa.
Thank you very much. Actually, I got a very short memory, so I summarized the presentations based on the slides Xiao Yan sent to me afterwards. So panel 2B has 4 speakers, and the presentations they gave have shown the many dimensions of the lamp transmission record of humanistic Buddhism by Venerable Master Xing Yun. Our first speaker is Professor Jack Montan Cha, who explained how Buddhist lamp transmission records have been used throughout history to record the teachings and the lineages of Buddhist masters. He showed that these records are not only about preserving history, but also about shaping memory and identity. He argued that the lamp transmission record of humanistic Buddhism gives new meaning to transmission by including education, charity, culture, and global development. Then, our second speaker, Professor Ji Zhangyi, discussed the meaning of lamp transmission from a philosophical perspective. He argued that what is transmitted is not simply teachings or doctrines, but awakening itself. Drawing on the metaphor of the non-duality of lamp and light, he explained that humanistic Buddhism encourages people to realize that Buddhahood is already present in their own lives. And then our third speaker, Dr. Wei Xianqi up there explained both the content of the lamp transmission record of humanistic Buddhism and the meaning of producing such a text. He showed how the book presents the balance between theory and practice, monastics and lay people, culture and Dharma, and tradition and modernity. He also argued that the text helps preserve and represent the spirit and charisma of Venerable Master Xingyun after his passing. Sorry, providing support for the continued development of Foguangshan. And then Dr. Xiaoyan Tan focused on how communities are built at Nantian Temple. Using oral history interviews, she showed that people often begin as visitors, then become volunteers, members, and sometimes leaders. She argued that collective cultivation and shared activities help people develop a sense of belonging and gradually become part of the Foguangshan community. In this way, humanistic Buddhism supports the growth and the sustainability of communities. I didn't see Xiaoyan. Oh, sorry, you are here. Okay, and then together, these presentations moved from history and philosophy to sociology and lived religion, illustrating the richness and the interdisciplinary possibilities of humanistic Buddhism studies. A common thread running through these presentations is that transmission is not simply about preserving the past. It's actually about continually interpreting and actualizing Buddhist teachings in changing contexts. Whether through texts, ideas, institutions, or communities, humanistic Buddhism demonstrates how tradition remains both rooted and dynamic. Those presentations also remind us that the lamp transmission record of humanistic Buddhism by Master Xingyun is not merely a historical record, but a rich source for understanding questions related to memory, identity, authority, practice, and belonging in contemporary Buddhism. So I think this panel had a very good presentations, very meaningful. Thank you so much.
So, and just before this closing conversations, we had panel 3. So may I invite Professor Wang to give us a summary?
Thank you, Venerable Juewei. Very good afternoon, everyone. And well, it's supposed to be very fresh in my mind as to what we have discussed. Now I have even shorter memory than Professor San. We had a very interesting session because we were looking into the whole question about introducing the lamp transmission record of humanistic Buddhism by Venerable Master Xingyun to the wider English-speaking audience. So we had 2 papers, one by Mr. William Zhong, who was introducing a very interesting idea about not merely pushing out the 2 volumes, but also to create a kind of digital ecosystem. So what he was looking at is actually to have a wider kind of framework in order for us to push out to introduce this work to others, especially regardless of whether it's English speaking and so on. So he was thinking about a wider perspective, and therefore we went into the whole idea about AI. No, I will come back to that. Then, last night I had a chance, an opportunity to consult him actually over some matters pertaining to AI and so on. And at the same time, he introduced me to a search engine that he created, which was called a research assistant for him, but which actually could search into a databases various databases that looked into humanistic Buddhism. And that I played around with it last night, and I thought, goodness, this is the way to go, and so much can be learned from it. But I'm sure the ecosystem that he talks about is much more than that. So today he introduces to a little booklet which he created out of AI as well. So this is actually the 6 gates, Liu Miao Men, so it's a very important piece of work. So it is all pictures. So it's very, very good. So that's the first paper. The second paper by Associate Professor Venerable Juewei and also Dr. Michael Murphy, they focused their work on the whole question about wisdom in action, a dialogue on Prajna Upaya and the Lamb transmission record as public scholarship. So they delve into the whole question about what's public scholarship. So this work should be introduced as a public scholarship, as a work of public scholarship by scholars, by 2 scholars to a scholastic world and so on. And the discussion also went into which one should come first, whether it's Prajna or whether it's actually Upaya and so on. So they have their views. And then when we got into the discussion, AI came up again. And so AI became a very important discussion because this whole idea about whether or not this is a tool that should be used, for us to actually reach out to others, or whether this is actually a very problematic tools and so on. But I think we all agree that this is a tool that cannot be ignored. So it's a question as to how we embrace it and how we actually make good use of it. So this is something that we really have to contemplate as well as to actually perhaps in our life, in our individual life as well as a corporate life, we have to probably draw a line as to where what is the boundary of AI, what are the things that we should do and what are the things that we shouldn't do and so on. So these are the guiding things that we are guiding light that we're looking into. But we were reminded again that our discussion should be focused on the whole idea about putting out the Lamb transmission record. Venerable Miao Guang reminded us that. So this is, of course, this is not the whole work of Master Xing, but this is a concise companion to this 395 volumes of work. And but for me personally, this is really a very important piece of work, because as I was trying to learn more about Buddhism and his writing, my feeling was that, wow, it was so much of work and I cannot find my way through. But after flipping through the Chinese volume, the 3 Chinese volume, I thought, hey, things became clearer, so I could sort of navigate myself. So today, Professor Ong suggested that, hey, we should have even a smaller version, another guide, to guide to the guide. Things that, but whatever I say, I think we have to go back to the whole purpose of this panel. This panel sets out to actually talk about how to actually bring this volume, the work of Master Xing to the rest of the world. Not just English-speaking world, but also the Chinese-speaking world as well. I thought we need to go back to this and perhaps to explore with whatever ability that we have, with whatever skills that we have, to bring out this message to the wider world, whether it is through a smaller book, or whether it is through another companion, or whether it's through comics, or graphics, or whatever means. But the tools are there. So it's a question as to how we actually make good use of them and to reach out to the rest of the world. And I think we have to come back to this very simple question as to how to bring humanistic Buddhism to others. I think, coming from a multicultural society, just as Australia is very multicultural, we have to ask all the barriers that are out there, whether it's religious, whether it's racial, ethnicity, and so on. How do we bridge that? I think that would be the challenge that is before us. So I think with that, I should stop. We save another minute. Thank you.
It's a lot of long, and to all four facilitators for your brilliant distillation of comments and inspirations throughout these 2 days. Truly amazing. But I believe having heard all of this, especially when for our presenters, when your thoughts and ideas are now reflected back upon you, I believe you also have new ideas. So perhaps it's time for us to open it to the floor for further comments or takeaways of this symposium. So how many minutes do we have for each speaker? 3? Okay. The floor is yours. Mage?
Start. Oh, okay. First of all, again, I want to thank everyone for, especially the organizers, for the invitation. This has been such a meaningful event. Yes, the lamp transmission record is a great feat, and I am so grateful and I'm so appreciative, and I'm thankful that I'm able to express even just a little of what I have found meaningful and what is relatable to where I am. Because like what you said, it can be just a collection of words and chapters. But what matters is that we are able to relate to it and that people are able to live the teachings, because the teachings are very important. And it doesn't end there. And I'm happy to hear that there are future plans that we are all encouraged to help, put together whatever is needed, because it doesn't end. Whatever is needed to keep the legacy of Venerable Master Xing alive, to keep the traditions of humanistic Buddhism accessible to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything to Dr. Prerna? What about everyone else? You look eager to speak up. We're running out of time. Jack, would you like to share?
Yeah, thank you, Shifu. And I just want to, echo Juewei by thanking the organizers for putting together this wonderful symposium. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to learn more about this wonderful work that the light record of Venerable Master Xing Yun. And of course, I think something important I think I learned through our 2 days of symposium is that when academics we get together, we are usually talk about very nerdy stuff, right? And not many people, not many people, to be honest, are concerned with, and also or something that's usually not accessible for a wider audience. But I think over the last 2 days, I think what we have learned also is to put academic research into practice and also make our work accessible to a wider audience. And I think this is extremely important for the Buddhist community, because I think very often Buddhist studies scholars do not engage Buddhist practitioners and the Buddhist community enough. And I think having such a symposium is extremely important kind of platform for us to be in conversation with practitioners. On the one hand, we share what we have learned, what we think are important for the community to engage in conversation with us. And I think on the other hand, I think the Buddhist community can also learn more about the academic study of Buddhism, and also can offer us feedback in terms of how we can make our work more accessible, make our work more relevant to a wider community. So I think this is a kind of a very fruitful conversation for me as a scholar practitioner, but also to think about how I can make my research more relevant to not only the Buddhist community, but also the broader public. Thank you.
Me?
Yep. Would you like to go?
Yes. Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to everyone. I'm grateful to have the opportunity before anyone else, besides the people in this room, to read these 2 volumes because we got it in PDF, fresh from the print. And it was really, I know it's just 1/3 of the work, but it was really going through things that I've studied in the past with new packaging. And I found it
easier to understand than and shorter than, of course, all the other works. That's been a very, very nice. I read it twice. It's been a very, very nice experience. I'm also very glad to hear what you say about more engagement among practitioners and scholars. That's something that actually I have been doing at SOAS, as you know, in my university, and then but it's not easy. Has been appreciated by a number of people in my field, like Mayfair, but other people in Buddhist studies in my university, they don't appreciate it because, this is academia. Why are there scholars? But you're talking about their tradition.
Yes.
And I think I have a lot to learn from their tradition for me to do a better work as an academic. So I really, really welcome the idea to have more of these engagement meetings. I also, that's something that I was trying to say in my paper. I think humanistic Buddhism is applied Buddhism. And it's important when it's out there, but not just out there in the community, out there in other academic fields, in other fields. So I know that Fu Guangshan has been very active in interfaith dialogue, also in dialogue with other groups outside Buddhism. And I think that's something that should be done more and more, because if we want, you are from the Philippines, and so you are in a Catholic environment, and this is helpful. So I really hope one day that we don't just stop to the division, but we look at more. I'm a little bit allergic to the idea of interfaith dialogue, because for me, interfaith dialogue, it looks like lots of people on the table, blah, 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 and then they go out, and that's it. And humanistic Buddhism had the potential to do this interfaith dialogue in practice, and practice is what is important. So it's my encouragement to really think of humanistic Buddhism out there as a form of humanism. But it has to really have to be out there from scholars, but also practitioners.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So maybe my concluding is based on my paper a little bit. So I'm talking about the metaphor of light in the lamp. So also in relation to Master Xing Yun's teaching of I am Buddha, there's also a non-duality between I of myself and the Buddhahood. So ethical knowledge and also practice in reality. So when we thinking about the relationship between wisdom and the knowledge, normally when we take the lamp transformation record as a knowledge or information, but wisdom is a kind of transformation. What do you mean the distinction between information and the transformation? And when we talk about the wisdom or the upaya as a non-duality or alike, the capacity or in our daily life, we need to practice. But another question is, can transformation be taught? Can wisdom be taught? It's not a kind of transformation, but a transformation. And another thing when we mention about, William mentioned about the single point of view, I'm thinking about another point of view. Why when a person pointed the moon, and the students will focus on this finger? Because there's nothing. There's nothing. There's no moon. That's why you will focus on finger. So if there's a moon, of course the students will look at the moon. Because there's nothing, and then look back to the finger. I think the transformation and the transformation is the same. When we think of the lamp and the light, because the student cannot see the light, then they focus the lamp. So that's a question, right? So yeah, I think this is very important to say. We should understand the relationship between lamp and the light. So that's the key. Thank you.
I'd just like to echo Dr. Ong's recommendation about qualitative and quantitative research. I recently came across a book on forest bathing, and the book was written by a Japanese researcher, and we all know that forests are really good for our well-being and all that, but the Japanese researcher actually used a lot of quantitative evidence-based research to support the benefits of forest bathing. And for me, I think monastery is like a ecosystem, like a forest. We literally have forest monastery. And so I wonder if we could do research on the benefits of volunteers when they come into the forest monastery in terms of their well-being or their healing, or maybe even measurement of how more they become non-dualistic, coming from a very dualistic background, education or upbringing, families, etc. And I'm wondering, my question is, I'm wondering if if we could have the help of the researchers or scholars to help us with some key parameters for effective research on volunteers. For example, we measure their heartbeats, heart rates, etc. Because this Japanese researcher actually have some PhD students who help him do further research in forest bathing. But when I get excited about, oh, okay, maybe we could help measure some volunteers' heartbeat or whatever, how do we go about doing it? Because we don't really have that training behind us. Or maybe it could be something we could collaborate with the researchers between BOIA and the researchers. So I mean, BOIA can be our guinea pigs, and we can just measure our members. Because I just feel like every time I see BOIA members, they're just so positive.
Yeah.
And sorry, when you're surrounded, it's just very healing. But
We have a bit of time.
We can get tissue from that corner.
We are reminded that Dr. Guo and Cecilia, both of you are still online, and we also look forward to hearing from your takeaway. We wish you would have been here with all of us. We miss you. So would you like to share your thoughts? Cecilia disappeared. Oh, Cecilia,
Cecilia.
round of
Let's
applause.
see us first. Yeah.
I'm crying because of Stacy's recollection, these thoughts. Thank you very much for inviting us here. I'm very sorry that, I rained on our parade. I'm no longer a spring chicken, but I thought I was at 75. So here was pushing myself too much. Yeah, the time I arrived here. And no one's fault. I just wanted to be present in all the activities. As to the proceedings, I've been listening, and I was very much touched by so many insights, particularly the one about the lamp and the light, yes, and also Stefania's arguments, a very critical mind I could see. I was drifting in and out of many of the discussions because of the medicines that I've been taking, but I was on all the time. And I'm happy that we have this kind of symposium. And as many of you have said, this is not the last. And I just want to make clear, for example, that the impact of Venerable Xingyin on me was not really so much on the concepts of Buddhism, but on his vision of making humanistic Buddhism accessible to all, and that vision of creating harmonious, coexistence. So, meaning going beyond religion and making the essence of humanistic Buddhism universal. So that's where I've been coming from all the time. And when I thought of doing that paper on arts and culture as platform, it is in that universality of the experience that was exemplified by the arts. And I thought that, yes, it is coming to form. Many of you have been saying that, it's going to be worse, but I can also feel that there is so much transformation happening. In the same way that Stacy was saying about, she was feeling very positive about the BLIA. I know, and I have seen so many circles, not necessarily Buddhist, but many other organizations who believe that there is so much strength in communities, in goodness, and in kindness. And I am with Fok Wang Shan. I am Catholic that has integrated the practices of humanistic Buddhism in my life. I am doing contemplative pedagogy, and I am bringing in contemplation and as well as mindfulness practice to the youth, to the corporate trainings in the Philippines, and of course to education, the Department of Education. So thank you all very much. This has been very, very enriching, and I look forward to more. Hopefully, I won't get sick again. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. We hope you feel better.
Better now, better.
Thank you. Now let's go to Dr. Kuo while we're still looking at the screen.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I really feel sorry I cannot be here with everyone physically. And my back is it's coming good. I try. It's just still survive. And my really concern as the director of the Institute for the Human Buddhism in University of the West. Myself is my major function is a teaching faculty. So that's why every time when I see these two, I already have these two, all right. My question is always how I introduce these two to my student, especially to my PhD student. Encourage them to using this to conduct some meaningful research, even some thesis project. So the other I concern is how I introduce these two books to my colleague. It's not necessarily Buddhist scholar, but they are religious. They are religious study. They are Christian. They are Islamic, and they are psychology, business people. How I introduce these two to them. I believe that is a way we can begin to think about how to make these two, currently we only have these two, as put into academic discourse, because we have to put this into a kind of the academic value, so the people begin to take a look, say, maybe I can get something from there. You know, the scholar and all the graduate students currently, they have so many information. There are so many material in front of them. They have to pick. So that's why that is my concern. And I believe this type of the thinking I will continue. Maybe I will begin to try to talk to my student, talk to my colleague, invite them to take a look, and have them to share their experience to see what their response. And I believe that is a way we can begin to put these two volume into academic discourse. That is my concern. I want to share to everyone. I believe everyone has more expertise than me. You know, I'm working on so many things on the university administration, and the only thing is teaching. So that's why I share my experience. I hope everyone can get together collectively to think about how we promote these two live transmission record of human Buddhism to the academic public. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kuo. We do appreciate that you are thinking very seriously about how to bring the land transmission record further. And I guess somehow by coincidence, both you and Cecilia can only join us online. I wish you could say we've got both of your backs. We hope your backs are feeling better this time. And next time, definitely we'll see you in person. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I believe we have time for one more Yes, so let's come to Xiaoyan.
Oh, sorry. So I want to echo what Dr. Kuo has said. Not that I know, I certainly do not know more than him, but one key phrase that he has used is to create academic value, so that not only ourselves and the University of the Consortium that continue to work on humanistic Buddhism, but how to make it attractive for academia outside our usual circle to also take on this subject. I think that is a very important thing that maybe this group of us can think more about and initiate efforts around.
Other academic.
Yeah.
Value.
Good luck.
Yeah, I guess that is a good
That's my
challenge. And
experience.
yeah.
That's also what I was saying. It's big. Interdisciplinarity.
Yes. So maybe it's like this.
Let's put our hands together for all facilitators in our symposium panels. May I now invite Venerable Miao Guang to announce any exciting next steps from the Foguang Institute of.
I'll stay. Oh, later. Okay.
Okay, need to share screen. Messages from the HQ. Once again, thank you so much for having us here. It's always a pleasure to join all of you. And just a few news to share at HQ. As we celebrate the centennial of Venerable Master Xing Yun, the Foguang Institute of Humanistic Buddhism is hosting the commemorative academic conference of the Venerable Master going from the 21st to the 23rd. The original goal was to invite 100 scholars, but in order to facilitate better dialogue, I think we've cut it down to 30. And so all of you are still welcome to join us. I think some of you will also be there. This is co-organized by all the institutes under the Foguang Consortium. So as you can see, Foguang University, Nanhua, Chinese University of Hong Kong, Nantian Institute, Xilai, Guangming, Malaya University, as well as our new Pakistan Center. And we see this as a very important event because this is when we gather at Foguang again to share the legacy of Venerable Master Xing Yun. And so you're still very welcome to join us online. I believe there will be. And so that's the first announcement. And the second announcement is about the Foguang Dictionary. After 12 years in the making, we're very proud to share with all of you that we're ready to publish it this year. And as we speak, we're still going through the final stages of reading. So the digital edition and the paper edition will be available in December 2026, along with an AI tool that serves as your assistant. Yes.
English.
That's English. So this is the English translation of
the black volumes.
Yes, of the black volumes. So this one is fully in English in 10 massive volumes, and the digital edition will provide bilingual for you to compare the data. Yes. And so the launch will take place from the 14th to the 16th of December at Foguang this year. We'll be sending out an invitation to everyone. We hope you have a chance to come. And we're gifting these sets to research centers as well as university libraries. So if you're representing any of the libraries or the research centers, we'll be more than happy to give the set to you, either in December or maybe at a better time when we come to Europe, Australia, or America to do the pre-launches, the sub-launches as well. Yes.
Well done.
Sorry?
Do you have an API for this?
Let's talk. Yes. So thank you once again. These are the two major events coming up at HQ, and we hope you can all be there.
I would like now to invite Joseph Frawley, Engagement Project Coordinator of Nantian Institute's Humanistic Buddhism Center, to share with us some announcements from NTI.
Thank you, Stacey. The first thing I would like to share with everyone is a call for papers. We have seen some excellent work here presented, and Rather than speaking about the negative of the shame to waste it, we speak of the positive. What a beautiful opportunity to share it further. So we have a call for papers, whether it's articles, commentaries, or reflections. There is a very handsome man to my right named Michael Murphy. He will find you. We invite you, we encourage, we urge you, we entreat you. Please continue to share your work with our journal. It makes a huge difference. Thank you in advance to anyone who is able to undertake that.
Also student papers?
Also student papers. That's correct. Coming up on the 23rd of June, we have two wonderful public speakers. Jack Cha and Stefania Trebangan will be speaking with Venerable Juewei about diplomacy, AI, and Buddhist thought. It's online at 11 a.m. So everyone online on Tuesday, please join. And for everyone on campus, we will be here in room 101. I encourage you to join us. On the 14th of September, on the 14th of July, our Humanistic Buddhism Special Interest Group meets again with papers about Avalokiteshvara, mindfulness, and the language around anxiety, and human uniqueness in the age of AI. It's an informative and welcoming 90 minutes online, and it's a great way to stay connected between these larger events. If you have any questions, please see Xiaoyang, who's the organizer of these events. If you'd like to register now, there is a QR code, or I can send a link to you later. On the 22nd of July, NTI Conversations will host Raymond Lam, a senior editor at Buddhist Door Global, on Buddhist journalism and writing. If you've ever thought about publishing more papers or work to a wider readership, this is a presentation for you. I'm looking at our Buddhist college students as well. Please join online. The written word is more important than ever now in the age of AI. So if you're interested in learning to write like a Buddhist, for Buddhists and for the general public, this presentation is for you. We invite you to register on the QR code or see me for a link. Probably one of the most proud achievements that HBC can point to. I'm certainly very excited that on the 22nd of September, we launched the Buddhism in Australia project, the reports and the educational resources here at NTI on campus. This is a collaboration with Deakin, Western Sydney, and Charles Darwin universities. You are welcome to join online via Zoom, or it will also be here in person. We are very, very proud of the work that Venerable Juewei, Xiaoyang has done with these other universities, collecting information about the earliest touches of Buddhism in this very lucky nation. We encourage you to join us. As many of us have experienced today, at 11 a.m. every Sunday, we have our check-in opportunities, a half an hour check-in of Dharma, a little reflection, and most importantly, connection. It's a wonderful way to keep involved in each other's lives week to week. Moving on to studying at NTI, we have some exciting news about how we can make study fit in with our busy lives. The option for studying at NTI now includes auditing a class, which involves the same depth of participation in group learning without being formally assessed. My tagline is depth without deadlines. I think they should take it up. If that sounds like something you are interested in, please scan the QR code or come to see me after. Our 10-week Applied Mindfulness for Professionals runs in late August, in person and online, with an optional 2-day retreat. It pairs practical application with evidence-based mindfulness programs. Inquiries to the email study@nantien.edu.au. In the same vein, Compassion at Work is a fully online and self-paced course running from 31 August about transforming your relationship to your work with theory and practice, all rooted in compassion. Inquiries to the same study@nantien email address. And finally, NTI has competitive international scholarships available for postgraduate students in Applied Buddhist Studies and Humanistic Buddhism. The application date is fast approaching. Please, amongst yourselves, pass this on to anyone who you think could be of benefit to these scholarship programs. And with that, I'd like to pass the microphone back to Stacey.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. To conclude, we would like to invite President Alistair Noble to share a few closing words. Thank you, President.
Thank you. I hope can you hear me all right? Is that working? I hope so. I want to just apologize for not being with you in the room. How embarrassing. I should be there with you, right? But it's one of those weekends when I'm juggling a few other things, including, would you believe, some other Zoom meetings this afternoon. But I'm really happy to join you for this last session, and I've been listening from a distance here. I really just so I guess firstly I can see many of our respected venerables in the room there, and just my respects to Abbess Manke and Venerable Miao Guang and Juewei, my good friend, and other venerables there with you, and all our visiting scholars and friends there and online. Just thank you all for really joining this symposium and for the great spirit of insight and generosity that you've all brought to the discussions. I want to say also I'm so grateful to the support of Fo Guangshan back in Taiwan, whose vision and again support makes this work possible in so many ways. The organization of the Xingyun Education Foundation, I want to acknowledge, working so hard in the background. They are great friends to us at NTI, and of course to the larger project of Nantian's work and Fo Guangshan in general, including the symposium here this weekend. So thank you to the Xingyun Education Foundation. The Institute of Humanistic Buddhism, of course, also for the great leadership and scholarship and guidance throughout this big project and the long period of work that's gone into this and continues. I know there are many people beyond what we see, the participants in forums and speakers, so many volunteers and facilitators working in the background, and to all of those people, I just want to express our gratitude as well for making everything run so smoothly for us. I feel that I think we all understand the enormous amount of work that has gone into bringing Venerable Master Xingyun's light transmission record to this point and this special launch of the English volumes. And yet the transmission, of course, is in some ways not only, we might say, not complete, but it is just beginning. This is, as I think we've heard so often over the discussions this weekend, this is a transmission very much for the future and that will continue long beyond us and our time. Such important work for the wider world. One of the things I've been reflecting on is that, you know, in scholarship, as well as perhaps in other aspects of our life, we sometimes fall into a pattern of, you know, binary thinking. It's attractive, of course, because it's neat and simple when we think of perhaps East and West, but, you know, of course, there is North and South, as we are conscious of with that. But also, as Kwong was saying yesterday, you know, there is the inner life and our outer practice, but that these are not separate. You know, I enjoyed this discussion yesterday, that there's a sort of continuity there. I think in some of the discussion this afternoon, where we are thinking about perhaps Buddhist studies and wider academia, again, perhaps I'd encourage us to think that these are not separate. You know, there is a continuity here, and we can think through this and work through this in so many ways. And I think this is again something where humanistic Buddhism offers us some useful guidance. So in closing, look, thank you all for your wonderful contributions. I really hope that you will keep in touch with us here at Nantian Institute in the future. Joseph mentioned how you can audit classes now without having to worry about doing the assessment. And I can tell you, I've been doing that myself this year, actually. I've been auditing some classes. And not only have I learned a lot, I've really enjoyed it. And I, especially for those of us, of course, here who we are also busy, I know, with many things, I really appreciate not having to do the assignments, but just participate in the class. So I can recommend this. So just in closing, then renew my thanks to you all and warm wishes. I hope to see some of you around the Institute in the next couple of days as we continue some further discussions. For those who are traveling and that I may not see again, I wish you safe travels and hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, and can we please again put our hands together in appreciation towards all presenters, facilitators, staff, volunteers, and organizers. We look forward to the 13th symposium. For all online participants, we will leave the Zoom session open for a few more minutes. You are welcome to leave your reflections in the Zoom chat while I continue with a few announcements that relate to delegates on-site. Thank you very much for your online attention and participation. For our on-site participants, please pick up your hard copy of the books outside. Dinner will be served in the Temple Ganda Hall, which is the smaller dining hall, at 6 p.m. A brief